4. I'm on a roll here, folks. I am on a roll. This will be a quickie, uh, because I'm hungry. Alrighty, so let's talk about Xbox. If anybody has seen the death battle between Doom Guy and Master Chief, and if you heard the recent news that Gears of War is coming to PlayStation 5, folks, Xbox, it's officially over. I will never forget all the fun memories that I had with Xbox, with the 360, the original Xbox. So it's slightly above average exclusives. Tau Fang Fist of the Lotus. I never got to try Blinks. I need to, honestly. Um, Conker's Bad Fur Day Reloaded, even though it was originally a Nintendo IP. Killer Instinct 2013, man, even though I had its issues with the game. And then, of course, they decided to release it for PC, which, whatever. Um, Xbox, man, was just the gamer's game console. You know, I don't know what it is about the system, but Master Chief has held on, carried on, on that console on his back for such a long time, and now it's like he doesn't feel special anymore. Same with Marcus Phoenix and many of the other IPs. And I know some of y'all are going to say, oh, well, Xbox wants to us exclusives. Yeah, exclusives that a lot of people barely care about. Mostly indies that, like Crimson Dragon, stuff like that. Love Crimson Dragon, but yeah. You could type in Xbox rants, Xbox discussion. Is plenty from Blackbuster Show and many others. And of course, Smoky Dog 77. It's finally happened. Xbox is done. There's no coming back from this. They stated for years how they just wanted to be like a live service instead of a game company. Just, they just want to be like Netflix. Well, all they got now is Xbox Game Pass. Despite my issues that I have with them with some of their piss poor customer service like years ago, and despite some technical issues, the long load times and everything, all in all, I mostly had nothing but good memories. Playing with friends and everything. Yeah, I know it's too early to speak doom and gloom, but Xbox, like the old days, is done. The new era Xbox will be fine. You can still buy a console and everything, but at this point, it's like, well, what's the point of buying a console when most of the games are coming to PC? You see what I mean? It's not really making a lot of sense to me or many others. And I can't blame people for being like frustrated with Xbox. There's videos that pretty much predict its demise and whatnot, and well, here we are. And companies, game studios being shut down, under Microsoft and Xbox. I just don't know. I keep saying this over and over again. They need to make more exclusives. Richard VTech USA has been saying this. But at this point, I don't think that's going to save it. Because every time they release an exclusive, they just give it out to everybody. Oh, guys, hey, now this is on every platform. Xbox, you need exclusives, man. You need like Game Pass exclusive too. Exclusives too. Because it is integral to the longevity of that console, of your brand. But when you just give it to everyone, then it just doesn't feel special anymore. Nintendo understands this. PlayStation understands. It's like they're giving away some of their exclusives to PC, but not all of them. But you're like the only game company that doesn't get it. You're not Steam. All right? Just stop. You're not Steam. You're not that guy, as they say. You are Xbox. Stay in your lane. Give the fans what they deserve. Finish the story with Halo Infinite, and afterwards, give fans a Halo 6. A good Halo game. And make it Xbox and Xbox Game Pass exclusive only, where you have to have an Xbox console. Bring back Blinks. Just go do your old IPs and just bring them back. Do what Sega's doing, because Xbox is in need of some IPs, man. And you don't have to give Blinks and all these games, big budgets. Just It could be, minimum budgets, just like y'all did with Killer Instinct, and just make sure you just hire people that know how to make it fun. Give us another Super Lucky's Tale. Make it Xbox exclusive. We need exclusives, man. We do. Despite the controversy, despite the stuff that you've done and that you got called out for, and we will continue to do that for any company, regardless if it's Nintendo or PlayStation. We're just focusing on the brand right now. We're not focusing on what Xbox did to constitute to, this from happening, but we're just focusing on now. Just focus on exclusives, lower the price of Game Pass, and get back into the console, competition. Because I don't want to imagine a future where it's just only Sony or Nintendo being the last game company. Well, if you get my point, standing. We no, we don't need that. We need competition. So Xbox, get back into the fray, man. Don't wave that white flag. You can do this. All right. And with that being said, we're going to do a side topic, which is about fighting games. Fighting games, real quickly, I'm just going to say this. They don't have that charm and flair anymore. It's done, man. It's over. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? You're not making any sense, man. Talk to me. Oh, I'll gladly talk to you, all right. Fighting games have existed for a long time, since the 1980s, right? Like when the first game console came out, we got was it Mike Tyson's Punch Out? And fighting games continue to evolve with the music, with the combat, and everything else. But there's just something about fighting games. They struggle in sales. They struggle with trying to, get the attention of the Call of Duty fan base, the sports fan base, heck, the Doom fan base, FPS, the RTS fan base, the real time strategy fans, the MLBA fans. And no matter how many collabs they do, no matter how many times they try to advertise the game, people try the games and then they just go back to what they're doing. And it is just a mystery to me, because there was a time when a fighting game actually won Game of the Year. And it goes by the name of Street Fighter 2. And then ever since then, that never happened again. And we can't say, oh, because there's better games. No, this is honestly the fault of not just the game developers, but the community, by not really accurately doing their research and thinking about what has caused the demise of fighting games so quickly. Fatal Fury City of Wolves is an amazing game, yet somehow, by some unfathomable amount of blasphemy, it has one of the lowest player counts I've ever seen. And Ken Masters is coming. Chun-Li is coming, right? First time that a Street Fighter character, will be in a Fatal Fury game. And pretty much confirming that Capcom vs. SNK is canon. And even with all of that, with Fatal Fury City of Wolves literally being advertised everywhere in a boxing fight, at the WWE, WrestleMania 41, all this advertisement. And yet, that's what they pull. 4,000, well, it turns out it wasn't 4,674 players, it's 4,569 plus players at launch. And the number continues to just go down, down, down. Well, why did that happen? Well, I guess it's time to state the obvious reasons as to why fighting games continue to fail. Over reliance on guest characters, even though it's proven that they help the sales of fighting games. Too many mechanics to learn. Every time, there's a new tier list, it confuses the player base, and everyone's just like, oh, I gotta relearn characters. They're overly complicated now, fighting games. Not a lot to do after you beat the game and even beat some of the casual-based game modes. There's nothing really special about them because you're doing the same thing. You beat your opponent up like rock, paper, scissors style until their health hits zero, and that's it. Oh, and Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is definitely to blame. Thanks to that fighting game, which was once a party game, but now it's a full-fledged fighting game. Um, Reaching the ranks and being the top selling, FGC of all time. Sorry, top FG, top fighting game of all time. Now, a lot more fighting games have been casual, a bit more on a casual scale. When it comes to, certain fighting games with special moves, they don't feel special anymore because they're easier to execute. And the hype, the hype, it rises up the bar and then it kills it because it's too much of it. Too much hype can kill, a lot of great things. Will fighting games get back to where they need to be? I think fighting games need to take a break. Like, seriously, there's too many fighting games and they're just failing, or it's just the top three that's always succeeding, but the indies are not doing anything. It's just, I don't know what to tell them. But even when they do succeed, they're not because they don't hit Call of Duty numbers. They don't hit sports, game numbers. And that's concerning, especially for Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken that have been around for 30 years. So why is it that these three big names that everyone knows cannot hit the numbers of Grand Theft Auto, of a Call of Duty, of a Madden, of a Destiny? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. But yet there's collabs and whatnot, and people know about, but it's just like, oh well, it's niche. Yeah, these fighting games are so niche, but yet they're in Smash Brothers, one of the top selling fighting games of all time. And what's hilarious is how you have a Tekken character in the game, you have a Street Fighter character in the game, but you don't have a Mortal Kombat character in the game. But yet there's a Mortal Kombat character in Fortnite. My brain hurts. Bottom line is, fighting games really just need to go back to the drawing board. Just take, like, a lot of these companies, they really just need to look back at what people are actually saying, write it down, have Q&As, and really ask, what is it that we're not doing correctly? And if they listen closely instead of just trying to assume, they'll figure it out. And then fighting games will be back on the map. And not only that, they'll be just as popular as a Call of Duty game. I would love to see a fighting game, surpass the likes of a Call of Duty or a sports game or the latest AAA game. It would be incredible and amazing. But it will never happen because it's stuck in the past. It refuses to fully innovate. It's kind of like what I stated about the Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 6. It refuses to push the boundaries. It just keeps doing the same thing. Here's a new mechanic, here's some new characters, here's some music, and that's it. Here's a storyline that hopefully you'll remember, and that's it. Have you noticed that every time I talk about this, that I keep saying that there's a lack of innovation, reinvention, there's a lack of this, a lack of that, because that's the reason. And for what we learned from Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is never make guest characters part of base roster. You just don't do that. But thanks to Smash Brothers and its overwhelming success, fighting games aren't to try anymore. Just make it for casuals, add this, add that, and there you go, and make your little millions, and that's it. Don't even bother having to go above and beyond. Don't have to bother anything. Just stick to your little gimmick, and that's it. And people will eat it up and buy it. They don't have to push themselves anymore because they know that, oh well, Smash Brothers is the best, and it's never going to surpass that. So yeah. And Mortal Kombat being the top selling fighting game franchise is cool, but Smash Brothers is the top selling fighting game in general, and that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And if people don't see that as an issue, then, well, just look at the fighting games and then ask yourself, well, why is it that these fighting games are so simplistic to learn, but yet they're so complicated? Look who's at the top. It wasn't like that. When Street Fighter went up to the top, people had to try. They literally had to, think of new ways on how this game could be better than Street Fighter. How can anyone be better than Smash Brothers? It literally gives you everything that you ever wanted. It's over. The true king of fighting games is Smash Brothers. It's not Tekken. It's not Street Fighter. It's not Mortal Kombat. It's Smash Brothers. A game that can barely be beat because so many have tried and failed because they don't understand the formula. So we're going to continue to have games like Smash Brothers, and that's it. Like, yeah, there's some people that are trying to make games like Tekken and Street Fighter, but we all know how that turns out. And yeah, Blaze Blue coming back, that's never going to happen. So there's that. And of course, there's Virtual Fighter. So unless by some miracle, Virtual Fighter figures out a way of what makes Smash Bros. And these other fighting games popular while also staying true to themselves, then maybe, just maybe, fighting games can go back to where they are. But until then, Smash Brothers is the new god of fighting games. It has been for quite a while. Dare I say, almost 10 years now. Shaking my head. So what can fighting games do to save themselves? Go back to the drawing board. You need to look at Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and ask yourselves, what is it that we can do? What new characters can we push? That will bring in a new audience. And they have been doing it, but I said before in my TikTok, they have to pass the mantle. It's time. It's time for them to pass the mantle. They need this. SNK is struggling. They have tried and they're failing. That's why they had to go to Saudi Arabia for money. Because they're not making as much revenue anymore. Or haven't been making much revenue in a while. Killer Instinct's not going to save it. I'm telling you that right now. You can beg for another Killer Instinct's not going to save it. A new Bloody Roar is not going to save it. You need to dethrone Smash Brothers. Undo the sin. And fighting games can go back to the way they need to be. You have to undo it. Yes, it's cool for all these collabs and whatnot. That's cute and all, and that's great. That's awesome. But long term, look what's happened. Look what's happened. People are fed up with guest characters. People are fed up with all these tier lists. People are fed up with trying to learn all these combos and moves. People are just fed up. They're tired. They're frustrated. They want more, but they can't. Because the esports players keep telling them, oh, this is what you actually want. So with Xbox, they need more exclusives. And I thank them for everything that they've done. And for fighting games, same thing, but we need more than just another Mortal Kombat, another Street Fighter, another Tekken. And more people need to support other fighting games, besides, the ones made by Arc System Works. Like, we really need to push the envelope when it comes to fighting games. Not just keep bringing back old fighters with better graphics and a new mechanic here and there. We got to do more, or this is going to continue to happen over and over and over and over again. My best of luck to all the fighting games, the new upcoming ones, and to Xbox. Because it'll be a sad day if I find out when I turn 40 that Smash Brothers is still on top and nothing's changed and Xbox is still a live service. That is something I don't want to see. We'll see, though. We'll see. At this point, if Virtual Fighter can bring in, I don't know, Kiryu or Majima and Ryo or Ryo in the game, like from Yakuza and Shinjume series,